Okay, with Christian Eisenbarth, Last Day on Earth, winner of Best Drama Film at the Environmental Film Festival, 5 minute film, really interesting film. Kind of starts off of a man kind of having a routine, and then it's his last day on planet Earth, and then kind of spiritual or environmental elements take place. Would that be a correct assessment, Christian?
Yeah, I'd say that's a good way to describe it.
What an interesting film! Like so well done. Where did you guys shoot this film?
That was in the Olympic Peninsula in Washington State. So some of the shots were in Olympic National Park, which is where it was inspired from.
But you don't live there, correct?
I don't know. I live in Los Angeles.
Okay, so how do you? So you're in the blog interview. You said you kind of did a solo trip in Washington, for 2 days, and then I guess you got inspired to make a film like this, and you wrote the screenplay. Hence, there, I guess, right?
Yeah, exactly. So I did a solo trip there, just kind of on a whim. Had really no plan. I landed in Washington, and I was Googling things on what to do, and I saw that there's a rainforest. So I was pretty inspired to go check that out. And the forest like really taught me that like life and death are kind of symbolic with each other because there's like trees growing out of like dead trees. They're called nurse logs. So when the
Mm-hmm.
dead tree falls in the forest, competition's like really fierce. So the only place for newer trees to grow is like on top of dead ones. So just like becoming like really connected to the forest. And after leaving there, just so much of Washington is being deforested and has for a really long time. So seeing the stark contrast between such life and then, what humans are doing and deforesting it like really inspired this film.
So to jump back, you were just there, ranked in a random kind of way, like there's no agenda while you were in that state.
Yeah, so I just it was just a really spontaneous trip. I had a Saturday, Sunday planned. So went to the airport, got a plane ticket to Washington, kind of decided the night before where I was going to go. So it was kind of
You did
trying
that by
to live
yourself?
my life. Yeah, it was a solo trip.
And you
So
just did you just like close your eyes? I'm assuming you're at LAX, and you just kind of like closed your eyes and said, "Oh, I'm gonna go there."
yeah, so I feel like I was kind of nudged that direction because I've just always been curious about Washington. Then once I had the idea of like, oh, potentially going there, I'm like, okay, that's for sure where I was going to go. But I had no idea what I was going to do. So land at the airport, started Googling what there is to do and saw that forest was about 4 hours away. So I got a rental car and drove out there. I had no idea where I was going to stay. So I was just kind of
Okay,
just,
so
floating like a butterfly.
you Saturday, you're in LAX, you landed in Seattle, I'm assuming.
Yeah, Seattle Tacoma Airport.
Okay, so you landed in Seattle, and then you're like, you don't know what you're gonna do, and then you just rented a car at the airport, I'm assuming, and then drove to there, and then
Yeah.
all of a sudden now you have a film. And like
Yeah, so basically like I went through this forest and like I feel like I had a really spiritual experience there. And the music at the end I actually had written before the film was ever an idea. Once I left the forest, mind you, it was raining the whole day since it's a rainforest, and unfortunately the shots we got in this forest in the film it wasn't raining like I was hoping it would be. But I was driving away from the forest and it was cloudy the entire day, raining, and I started having like this vision for this film about the old man, and he wakes up in the cabin, then walks through this enchanted forest. And the very first time that I envisioned like the seed sprouting and sprouting up, like I hit this top of this hill, the sun came out, and it's the first time I saw it all day, and I just felt like I had like this realization that this is like something I'm meant to pursue, and I cried like a baby and all that. It was quite the experience. And then
wow.
and I was never into film or like even like photography or anything. So I got very curious in learning what I needed to do. Had a friend help me create a storyboard so I could help pitch the idea to cinematographers. And then about 8 months later, I had it all set up and a crew set up, and we went and shot it for 2 days.
That's an amazing story. So you've never made a film before. You don't have
Nope.
background, and you just kind of in 8 months' time, you wrote a screenplay, you learned photography, you learned how to produce a film, right?
Mhm.
Storyboarded everything, and then you went out and made a film.
Yeah, so it's also quite ironic. All my friends make fun of me because I don't even really watch movies. I have the worst attention span. So it's a little bit of a running joke that I'm the one out of the friend group who ended up making a film.
You're in Los Angeles, which is like you
The
walk down the
perfect
street for
spot. It's
five
all,
feet, right? And everybody's a
yeah,
filmmaker.
yeah. So it's quite fitting I'm here.
So there must be the smell of the industry. Like you must like, what do you do like for a living, or what do you do usually?
So I was working in HVAC, heating, and cooling, doing like repairs, some sales. But I work full time in videography and photography now. All stemmed from this film.
So it sounds like you had a spiritual awakening in many regards.
Oh yeah, for sure. And it really sparked. I mean, that was my first national park I've been to, and I've been to. It's been almost 2 years. It'll be 2 years in October that I had the vision for this. I've been to 10 national parks since, and I have this strong desire to want to help protect, these natural places and bring awareness to how humans are affecting the planet.
Wow, that's quite the story. Never, but what like you're not from originally from Los Angeles though, correct?
I'm from Wyoming.
So what brought you to Los Angeles?
Originally, the music industry, so I did have a little bit of a leg up in this film. I've have some experience like recording music, recording
Okay,
sound effects, Foley. So like all the sound you hear in the film is fake, re-recorded after the fact. From the bird sounds to the excavator, the clothing movements, him breathing, pages turning in the book. So that's all recorded after the fact. So I already knew how to do that stuff. So that kind of helped me a bit in this.
so you're from Wyoming. You moved to Los
Yep.
Angeles. Like, where were you in a rock band, or were you what were you trying to accomplish?
I grew up playing in a rock band, and in turn of doing that, I started recording my own band, which led me to record other artists. And I wanted to take kind of a more professional approach, so I went to college in Arizona for music production, which led me to get an internship at a recording studio in Hollywood.
Okay.
I did that world for about a year, hated how political and cutthroat it was. So I left it, and then which is, I know I just kind of hopped into a different political and cutthroat avenue, but I'm not trying to go through like any like major production studio, and I'm sure I'll
Yeah.
run into plenty of politics with this stuff.
I
But
mean,
I
you
feel
can
like
say the same thing
this
about
has felt a
music,
lot more
right?
organic.
Like music, you can kind of
Yeah,
do your own thing, right? In today's world.
yeah,
Yeah.
hmm yeah.
Wow, that's okay. Okay, so then so this is you said two years ago. So okay, so what's the process? You've never written a screenplay before, so you just kind of like took a sheet of paper or got on your computer and just started typing, or
Yeah, so I had the rough idea. It was really hard for me to just pitch this idea, so I figured, hey, I need to. So like, what happened? I started reaching out to cinematographers, kind of like writing out like a long-winded email about my idea. I got no replies, and I'm like, okay, I have to be more professional with this. And because since I had like no background in like photography or videography, I definitely needed to hire someone who knew how to handle a camera.
sure.
So my friend helped me create a storyboard. So I wrote kind of like a general idea. I knew like all the shots I wanted. I just had to put those thoughts onto paper. So we went through and created a storyboard and wrote timestamps because where the guitar plays, like right when he hits the caution tape, I knew exactly all those shots and where it'd cut on the music. And then the rest was kind of just kind of going with the flow.
So how many crew
So we
members went up to? Well, how many crew members went up to Washington with you?
just two.
Okay.
So yeah,
What about
yeah, small
what
small
about the
crew.
actor? Where did you find the actor?
I found him through an acting agency, Washington Facebook group. I didn't find him. There was one person I was gonna have, but he ended up getting a deal with National Geographic, and he was no longer able to do any other work. So I had about a week to find someone else, and I found Steven, who's the main actor in this. Fortunately, and he did a great job.
So we're okay. So you went up to there, and then so the first first 45 seconds to a minute is in the house. So the movie kind of starts in this like cabin, I guess, somewhere, and kind of in the middle of nowhere. And then like you're seeing him wake up from bed, kind of brush his teeth, get out and eat breakfast, or look out the window, and then kind of like where did you shoot those scenes?
So that was in Port Angeles. that was an Airbnb that I rented, which doubled as like a place for us to stay while we're filming.
Mhm.
So I was trying to find that, that happy medium of a good place to stay and also what would work for filming. And that
Is
was on
the
about 40 acres of land. Hmm?
is the out exterior and is exterior the same as the interior?
Yeah, so all the shots that you see of the cabin are of that Airbnb.
Okay. Well, it's a really
Hmm.
nice nice job. So you're kind of like
Yeah, it's amazing.
it sets a really interesting tone, right, to the film, right, where you like this man waking up and it's like really nicely photographed. Like kudos to your cinematographer. And then he gets out and then he starts. Then you have some really interesting. I'm assuming crane shots of kind of the landscape, and he's like,
Uh,
"Go ahead,
yeah, that's all on a drone. Actually, I got it
drone
right
shots."
here.
Okay,
So I bought this. Yeah, I
that's what I
bought
meant.
this
Drone
drone
shots, yeah.
for the film. I did all the drone shots myself though, so I learned how to fly about a week before we went filming for this. So I knew exactly how I wanted them. The cinematographer offered to do it, but I just wanted a little more control since I knew exactly what I wanted.
Yeah.
So
And then so like did you go up to Washington and like scout it and like scout where you wanted to
yeah,
shoot?
so that was a yeah. So I kind of knew where I wanted to go beforehand because I had the trip about 6 7 months prior to that.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we were not able to go where I wanted to go. I wanted to shoot in the rainforest, but my main actor, it was a little too far, and it was a little ill planned with location of the cabin.
Mhm.
So I was spontaneous enough to go anywhere and need to film it, but the crew wasn't really on board to go as far as I wanted to. So we kind of settled. I looked on some trails and found some other spots. But the hardest part was, ironically enough, finding a good deforested area to film. The
Yeah.
first time I went, I found so many different areas, but when I went this time, for some reason, I was struggling to find them. And then I went 2 days prior before we were starting to film, and the biggest location I was trying to find was a good deforested area. And right before I was about to give up, I stumbled upon this property, saw that there was all this construction going on, and the owners were there, and I was talking to them, told them about my film idea. They seemed to get like feel really guilty after I told them what it was about,
Sure.
but they were kind enough to let us come back a couple days later and film there, free of charge. And everyone asked me if I hired like the excavator or whatever. No, it was just luck having that there.
Yeah, that was my next question. Okay, because it was like it's like the irony is that you don't want to see deforested area, right? But then for
Hmm.
your film, you kind of want to find some, I guess, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
that's kind of an interesting, contradiction, I guess, in your soul, I guess, right? So
yeah.
so
They
then you
do a great
find
job.
go ahead.
They do a great job of hiding deforested areas because along like major highways and roads, what they'll leave strips along the sides of the road about like a quarter mile thick or so, and then cut the rest behind it. So as you're driving, you're not noticing it as much. And I think that's one to keep the illusion of beauty there, but also probably not to wreak havoc with the public about what's really going on.
Well, yeah, it sounds manipulative and it sounds genes like evil genius
100%.
too, right? Like the way
Hmm.
you just described, because it's like yeah, it's not
Yeah.
causing attention, I guess, right?
Yep.
So
Yep.
you know what they're
Exactly.
building? What were they building?
They're just building a house, and I was thinking, like, man, these are a lot of trees to cut down just to build a little house here. I'm like, if I was gonna build a house, I'd have it all tucked in the trees.
Yeah, but ironically, the Airbnb that he's staying at is kind of like that too, right?
Yeah, so I noticed that too, especially like the first part he kind of walks out on. So I was hoping like people wouldn't like draw a parallel too much to that.
Yeah.
It's just the Airbnb we found. I was hoping to find one that was like a little bit more tucked in, but it's just wasn't. I didn't
I don't know.
plan this as well
I
as I
felt
should have.
that kind of like had an ironic tone to it, I guess, right? So,
Hmm.
okay, so here you go to the divorced area, then the character kind of like takes something out of his pocket. What does he take out of his pocket? And he kind of plants something, I guess, right?
Yep, it's his seed that he has.
Yeah. And so the crane, I guess the crane shots there, so they're just like what do you call like a excavator or something, and
Hmm.
the excavator, and they're just working while you're kind of shooting around them, I guess, right?
Yeah, so they're really cool about it. When we came back, it's like, hey, the owner's like, hey, just make sure you're not in their way. But there's a bunch of shots you don't see that I filmed. Like flying the drone through it. I was kind of getting a little greedy with some of the shots I wanted, but some of them didn't get put in the final film.
Yeah, well, that's
So
filmmaking, right? Like the way you're describing what happened to you is independent filmmaking. Like you lose your actor, you got to scrounge to find one last week. You have your shot list set up for a certain location. The location's not there. You got to improvise. Like all these stories, I'm very familiar with. It's like, but then that's what you have to do. You just have to like go with it, and you have to like face these conflicts, and then sometimes the film turns out better because you have to deal with these conflicts in the long run, I guess, right?
yeah, exactly. Like regardless of like what happened with the film, I'm just like super proud I was able to finish this, going from just an idea in my head to going completely out of my comfort zone. Because there's a lot of times where like I'm like, oh, maybe I shouldn't do it. And then
Yeah, doubt. Yeah.
luckily I have a good support system around me who pushed me and kind of nudged me to keep on doing it. So big
Who
shout out
was?
to my family and friends
Yeah,
for
I was gonna
sure.
say that was your parents or your family kind of pushing you forward.
Oh, everyone. Yeah. So I was pretty passionate about the idea after I originally had it. I'm like, man, I gotta tell you about this. And, everyone seemed pretty eager about the idea too, and that I should pursue it. But no one is ever going to be as passionate about your own ideas as yourself. And no one's ever going to take you as seriously as yourself. So I kind of learned that, sometimes you have to take matters in your own hands, and the universe isn't going to completely just do it for you.
Yeah.
You have to hold yourself accountable and follow through with everything that you want.
So its concept is simple in nature, right? It's the man. But at the same time, it's like there's something extremely profound in this man's journey, right? Like where it's like it's man versus nature. It's like there's something unnatural about what we're doing. Hence, but at the same time, you're showing us so much beauty, especially in the remaining scenes, right? Like you're showing this incredible forest while they're trying to build houses, I guess, around it too, right? So it's just like it's like you said, like you leave us feeling kind of like you leave us feeling with this uncomfortable emotion, I guess. I guess it's your intention, I guess, right?
Yeah, I mean, kind of like I don't know if you remember the quote at the end, but I have it part narrated over. It's by Alan Watts, who's a famous philosopher from the 60s and 70s. And he says, if you ask Bach, what is the meaning? He says, listen, that is the meaning.
Yeah.
And a lot of people have tried to like ask me like what is the meaning. Whenever I try to explain it, I feel like it just kind of crumbles. So I feel like whatever feeling it makes you feel, that is the meaning.
Yeah.
And so if it inspires you to live every day, if it's your last, or to help protect nature, all those are equal meanings.
Yeah, exactly. That's I mean, it's actually like an emotion. You're left with an emotion, and it's up to the viewer. Everybody's got their own. It's kind of experimental in nature, right? But it's like you definitely make us feel something. That's sort of you. So you succeed as a filmmaker. That
Yeah,
makes
great.
sense.
Thank you. I
Yeah.
appreciate it. Yeah.
So what did you think about our audience in the feedback video? What did you think about them?
Oh, that was amazing. Yeah, it was cool. It was like a lot more thorough than I was expecting it to be. And there's some good attention to detail to where like I feel like I put a lot of time into like little details that ended up getting noticed. So that was really cool to have some of that pointed out.
Yeah, it's a really great film. So so I'm assuming it's doing well at the festival circuit. That's a whole different learning experience for yourself too, right? Like you had to like go on Film Freeway, I'm assuming, and like some at the festivals and get some acceptances and understand that whole world too as well, I guess, right?
Yeah, getting declined to some, getting accepted to others. Actually just won another award and then got accepted into a different festival that is Oscar qualifying. So that's pretty fun.
Well, yeah.
But I mean, the biggest part about the reason why I wanted to do the film festivals is to network and kind of just have more people see it and try to get as big of an audience to it as possible.
Yeah, and I'm sure you're succeeding. So what's next for you? You said you're doing videography, and are you going to make another short film or even a feature film down the road one day?
Well, I don't know if I'm quite ready for a feature, but I have like three
I
or
said
four
down the
other
road one
ideas.
day. Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Yeah, just whatever drives me, I guess. So, maybe we can talk again in the future about a different one.
Yeah.
That'll be fun.
Or are you going to make another short film?
Yeah. So, obviously budget, the whole the world of raising money for this, and
Yeah.
I'm trying to make some new connections because the next film I have is a little bit more advantageous. Yeah, ambitious. There we go. It's a little more ambitious to where I don't think I can just. I feel like I got lucky with a lot of like what I did. I need a little bit more structure, a bigger crew for sure to pull off the next one.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's what you want to do. You want to keep getting, trying to get bigger, I guess, right? As you go, it's all about collaboration. So,
hmm Yeah, exactly.
well,
What about you? Do you
congratulations
have
on
any?
this film. It's fantastic, and it's like I said, it's like I love how you like described it too, because it's not there's no real explanation. It's just like they make it's a feeling, I guess, right? So, I'm not trying to be flaky about it, but there's a
100%.
feeling to your film.
That's exactly how I describe it.
Well, let's talk again when you make your next short. And it's such a great story that you told. Like it's like that you lived, that like you just something that you don't see very often, where like you just had this inspiration, and then you fought, like you said, you fought some fears, you fought some insecurities, and you got it done. So I'm like, hopefully, I'm assuming
Thank
you're
you.
very proud of yourself, and now you're on your way as a filmmaker.
Yeah. Yeah, thanks, Matthew. I hope it inspires you to live every day as if it's your last, and try to do something in the future and plan your last day on Earth
Yeah,
day.
well,
But hopefully nothing bad happens at the end. But
no, I tried to, you tried to like do something new, learn something new every day, fight a fear. I try to fight a fear every single day, right? So
yeah, I like that. Yeah, I'll start trying to incorporate that into my life as well.
it's such a great film, and I'm like I said, it's like I'm really glad that we're really honored to show it. So
All right, thanks, Matthew.